And we are live. Welcome to the stream. If you are watching at home, I am the Board Game Captain, and this is Game Night Insight. And today we're going to be discussing great games to play with family over the holidays. Now, the idea here is we're going to be discussing things that make a game great to play over the holiday. And then we have examples. We have things we're going to discuss. And we're going to see, do we agree? Do we disagree? Do we think some of the other members of the crew overvalue certain things or undervalue certain things, and we'll discuss. And of course, we're going to take some feedback from you guys, so feel free to join the conversation. Tell us things that you think really make a game great to play at the holidays, and also tell us what you think of our choices and the things we've chosen to discuss. So to start with, we're gonna go through everybody's introductions. So first off, we have a very special guest. We have the Shogunstein here. This direction here, and you can find him at the Shogunstein YouTube channel. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your YouTube channel? I don't know if he heard me. He might have had a glitch. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I had a glitch. We froze for a second.
Lenny, tell everybody a little bit about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can find us at the Shogunstein on YouTube, and I have a channel that covers board games from a couple different perspectives. We like to look at the historical background of history-themed games, and also I am colorblind, so I try to do videos on colorblind perspective of board games, and which games are colorblind friendly and which games aren't, so that way other colorblind board gamers can make a good decision when looking for games.
You know, I like that you do that. I've watched a number of your videos that do that, and I like that you do that because they're not, I mean, that's the sort of thing where, like, I couldn't talk about that because I'm not colorblind, but it is interesting to know who's done a good job. Who's done a good job with making things colorblind friendly, because you don't always know if you're not. Like, if I'm not, and I look at something and I wonder, like, are these colors, would these be good for a colorblind friendly? I mean, sometimes it's obvious when somebody has something like they put symbols on everything, but like other times you're not really sure. So I do like that you do that. And then of course we have my usual co-hosts. We have Riley down here. Riley, why don't you tell everybody about your two podcasts?
Yeah, so I'm Riley. I do the Board Game Community Show, where I'm casually interviewing people throughout the board game community. I might be mixing it up here a little bit over the next little, just doing like some reviews with people in the community so we can chat about, hey Lynn, hey Zoe, thanks for joining. Chat about games, and because it's fun. It's fun to actually talk about board games on a board game podcast. And then my other one is Friend and Foe Adventure Co. What was that?
Was that you?
Heyo. Yeah, I was saying heyo.
Oh, okay. Okay, go on. About Friend and Foe Adventure Co. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, then I've got Friend and Foe Adventure Co., which is a Borderlands B&B, so it's like the TRPG based on the Borderlands series, and that's a lot of fun. I get to be the BM or the Bunker Master or the Bowel Movement, depending on the day, and it's a lot of fun, but it is very immaturely mature, so listener discretion advised.
So quick hello to Lynn and Zoe, who both said hi in the comments. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much. And then, of course, also we have everybody's favorite, Angela. Angela has two awesome YouTube channels that I've been a subscriber of for years. Well, years for the first one. The other one less because it's newer. But Angela, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your two YouTube channels?
Well, I've got Board Game Gran, which is just board gaming, and I've been a bit slack there lately because I haven't had a lot of time. So I've actually got another channel, a sneaky side channel called Board Game Gran Shorts, and I've been doing some shorts because, man, they are much easier to knock out than a long form video. Yeah.
What about your old channel? Is that not still
my old channel, GirlyGamer? I can't remember the last thing I put up there. I think it was me repainting a lightsaber.
Has it been a while?
Strange things over there. So yeah,
I just watched one of your new videos because you just put something out, but I don't remember which channel it was on because I'm subscribed to all of them. And I commented on it. Actually, it was just recently.
Was it the lightsaber? I think that's the only.
It was like an update, and you were talking about how you were going to be doing your trip.
Oh yeah, that was a
I remember the comment I was saying was I was hoping you were going to do some vlogging about, because you're going to with the Star Cruiser.
Star Cruiser, yeah. I'm hoping to. People say you don't get a lot of time to like film things, though, but I will try, especially for you.
I would love to see some coverage from in your perspective. Like, you could always just like do a bunch of B-roll and then later do some reactions to the B-roll. Just be like this is us doing this, and it was good or it was bad or it was whatever it was. I'd be really curious to see what your opinions were, because there's been a lot of like chatter one way or the other on the internet. So I'd be interested to hear what your reaction is to that.
Really excited. So see how it goes.
So you hear that, everybody. Subscribe to her YouTube channels. There may be some stuff coming about the Galactic Star Cruiser, which would be really, really cool. So, quick hello to Greatish. Hello, Greatish.
Great name.
I think it's a Greatish name, actually.
It's Greatish.
So, fair enough. So, does anybody have any news they would like to share before we get on to our main topic?
I don't think so.
No, I've got a little bit of minor news. Just that, as usual, I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged this year. I'm just going to be walking around interviewing people. I've got a bunch of appointments to go see a bunch of companies, a bunch of the great companies that are showing up. But if you see me around, it may be difficult to tell it's me because we're all going to be wearing masks. But if you see me around, come say hi, and I'll give you a Board Game Kaptain die. I always have them at the cons to give out, and I love for people who watch the videos to come over and say hi. So I do really enjoy that. So feel free if you see me or you hear me. Usually I get told I get heard before they see me. They're like, "Oh, I heard you the next dial over." What'd you say, Riley?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I get told I get heard. Like, people come around and they're like, "I heard you the next dial over," and I was like, "I know that voice." So yeah, if you hear me, come looking for me. Say hi. Say you watch the channel. Say or something like that, and I'll be like, I'll give you a die that the one side says the Board Game Kaptain on YouTube. So, so since we don't have any other news, I guess we'll just jump into the main topic. So the main topic today is great games to play with family over this holiday. Now, the idea of this, it kind of hit me as it's the sort of thing where you get stuck with your family in a room, and you know what? Some of them you like, some of them you love, some of them you can't stand. I mean, it's just family. Everybody knows that. You're going to have some members of your family who inevitably want to force everyone into uncomfortable conversations that you don't want to have. And a great distraction from that is everyone to play a board game, because it gets them to shut up for a little while, right? So, I mean, it's a thing we all do. We're all gamers. We all like to try to, play games when we hang out.
Hey, I don't care what you say. She-Hulk is a great TV show.
Oh, I love She-Hulk. You're preaching to the choir. I'm not going to argue with you on that one. I thought She-Hulk was great. I don't understand all the hate.
It was.
But yeah, you're going to get people into it never fails. There's going to be family members trying to get everybody into uncomfortable conversations. So the thing is, though, you're talking about your general family, which may most likely not all be gamers, may not be into modern games, and what games would be good to play with them. Because let's face it, none of us, no gamers, are bringing Monopoly and Clue and Risk, at least not classical vanilla Risk, to a event to play games. We're going to bring proper gamery games, but what gamery games are good for family and why? So the idea, I think, is we're going to discuss traits that make a game good, and then we've got a whole bunch of examples to talk about and why they fit the traits, why they would be good to play with your family over a game night, et cetera, so on and so forth. So who's got should I jump in first with a trait and see what you guys think on it, and then we'll discuss some good examples of that trait? Is that sure. And then we'll go round like a round robin. We'll see what everybody else has as suggestions for a good trait. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe let me start with what I think is going to be the most basic vanilla of traits. This is not meant to be an exciting one, so don't criticize me on this one, but this is meant to be an easy one that I think we can all agree on as a good way to get it started, and that is a game that's easy to teach. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, if you're playing with a lot of non-gamers, a game that's really easy to teach, really easy to learn, quick to get into, doesn't have to have you explaining rules for 20 plus minutes is great when you got a room full of non-gamers. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
100%.
See, I knew this would be an easy one.
That was probably the number one I thought of too.
Yeah.
I figured this was going to be an easy one. Everyone's probably going to have on the list. A good way to jump into it. So my example game for this, and then we can see what you guys think. My example game I have for this is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. This is a newer game. This one just came out this year. I did a full review and tutorial on the channel. If you're interested in seeing fully how you play this game, spoiler alert, it's great. I'm going to come back to this game for some other reasons why it's a good game, because I think this applies to a few of my reasons I have. This game in particular, there's a few different rules that I have for what makes a game good to play with family over the holiday that apply to this game, is what I meant to say. But it's very easy to teach. It's very quick. I can teach this game in about 5 minutes, and most people pick up on it. It's very cool for that. It's very easy to teach. Quick one. Gradish said, to add on to that, maybe a game that is easy to learn as you play. Also good for this one, and I agree, 100% easy to learn while playing, learn while doing. And this is one that is good like that also, I agree. What do you guys think? Do you guys have some good examples of some in your list that are just super easy to teach, real easy to get everybody around the table, show them how to play, learn while playing?
I think what you're saying isn't just for family night and new gamers. I think too many times you're at a board game night, and especially with all the new games, it sounds sometimes you're spending most of the board game night or board game day learning games as opposed to actually playing. So I think what you're saying isn't just for the holidays, but I wish maybe people would bring more games that people already know how to play to regular game night.
Well, sure, and those are the great icebreaker games for the first game to play, either at a family gathering or at a regular game night. Did you have a good example? I know you've got a bunch, Shogunstein. Did you have one that's like a good example for this?
Yes. What I'd like to show is Camp Pine Top.
Oh, did you send me a pic of that one?
I did, but I have it here just in case. This is
nope, that's not it. You have so many. You sent me too many. I can't find it.
Spoilers.
Oh wait, I found it. Okay. There we go. Big blown up picture. Found it. Sorry about that. So go ahead. What's
cute?
That is adorable. So what is it like? What kind of game is it?
So this is from Talon Strikes Games, which is local here in Arizona. It's very Splendor-ish, so it's easy to teach because Splendor is a fairly simple engine building game, and it has, you can tell from the art, it has really cute characters. The meeples are really cute, and I know it reminds me of my days going to Camp Wowapek out in Wading River. It's got that theme of summer camp, so it's just easy to teach, and again, it's got an appealing theme to all ages, and the mechanics. If you can teach Splendor, you can teach this game.
Fair enough. How about you, Angela? Do you got one that's really good that you sent me a picture that's really good, easy to teach?
Every single game that I've got on my list is easy to teach and learn and play because they're the best I find for family or non-gamers. So yeah, I could choose one at random if you'd like me to.
Well, would you like to talk about one of the ones on your that you sent me?
Sure. So Clover. So I find that word games go over really well when you're playing with family. And this one, it just came out last year, I think, is hilarious. It's so easy. You've got cards here that you can see, and you pop them on there, and then you have to write a word that will relate to the two words that are touching that part of the clover. So you can see on the image, I didn't do a very good job here, but pumpkin region, Halloween, circus weight, strongman. And then you take the cards off, you mix them up and add a random one. And then the other players have to place the cards in the correct order. It's brilliant, really clever.
That is really clever.
Wow.
How about you, Riley? You got one that's really good, easy to teach?
Yeah, Codenames is on there.
There we go.
I think is just, this one I have never had it fail. It takes 2 to 5 minutes maybe to teach it. The most intimidating part though is having somebody like be a spy master at first. And I've got Codenames Duet on there. That's my wife and I's personal favorite because we love co-op. But the original is great too, playing against each other, going on teams. But yeah, it's just super easy trying to guess all of the clues and give clever clues and come up with the, it just leads to like a lot of memorable moments and a lot of laughter. And we usually, I remember the first time I introduced it to some friends, it was like the second game of the night. And then we ended up playing until like 2 a.m. And we were like, okay, we have to stop now.
So now, okay, we started with a super easy one. This was super non-controversial. Everybody agreed with this. Everybody had at least one pick, if not more, that fits this one. Let's see where we're going to go from here. I'm assuming that these are slowly going to get because the easy ones, the low-hanging fruit, are going to come out first. So the first couple are probably going to be easy, but I'm guessing it's going to get to a point where we might start disagreeing, or maybe not agreeing quite as much. So let's see how this goes. Shogunstein, what's a good trait for games to bring to play with family this holiday?
Well, a game that I'd like to discuss is called King Me. I think I sent you a picture of it.
I will see if I can find it. I think, is that it? Nope. No, hold on. There's just so many picks, and they wind up so small here. Is that it? There it is.
So the reason I picked King Me, and this is, they talk about a gateway game. Mm-hmm. To me, this is a bridge game. Not bridge like my grandmother would play, but bridge like it connects a classic game that people that are non-gamers would know, which is checkers. Mm-hmm. But it adds an element of area control from modern board gaming. So it's an interesting bridge between a classic game like checkers for someone that has never played a modern board game, because the main mechanic here is checkers, but it adds the area control that you would get in a modern board game. And it does it in a simple way, but for someone that has never played area control or any kind of modern board game, this is a great bridge into modern board games. Not a gateway, but an actual bridge.
Because it's based on a classic game that everybody knows.
Correct.
Okay, that's fair. Hold on one second. I want to just a couple quick reactions to the chat. We've got Greatest says to add on to that, maybe a game that is easy to learn. Oh, we did answer that one. And then Zoe said, I really like Monikers as an easy to teach game. I haven't played Monikers, so I
haven't either. Have either of you?
I have not.
I played a long time ago. I've got it. It's a giggle.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Now, I wanted to. Okay, so I definitely wanted to talk about what Shogunstein was saying. So I think that the idea, which is one I actually have it on my list as well. Which is, the way I put it, was a game that's a replacement to a classic game, because then it reminds people of said classic game, and I have it on my list. But, and here's where I've got a little bit of controversy and a little bit of discussion, I disagree with your choice. And the reason I disagree with your choice, and this is what I'm going to throw out there, the reason I disagree with your choice is it's only a 2-player game. And I feel like on a family holiday game night, you need games with more players. So I agree. I thoroughly agree with why you chose it. I think the fact that it reminds people of a classic game that they know is great. But I disagree specifically with King Me because it's only 2 players.
No, it's a good point. And again, my holiday is a little more decentralized than maybe some other people's holiday. So my holiday is spread over 8 crazy nights. So we might not have as big a group at the same time. And also, this is, game night still, there's going to be kids, and, the checkers theme will appeal to kids, and you're trying to get the kids involved. You don't want to just send them, like when I was a kid, my grandmother would send us off to the bridge table in another room, and you want to try to get everyone together, not in that separate dining room.
I had no idea that you were a fellow celebrator of Hanukkah. So Hanukkah Tova. But moving along for everybody else who didn't understand that. So let's see. I have a quick one I'm going to throw out for reminding of classic games, because I do think that reminding of classic games is an awesome concept. Really great one. And I've got a lot. All of mine actually remind me of classic games, but I'm just as a quick throw out, I'm throwing out Mysterium. And the reason I'm throwing out Mysterium is because Mysterium will remind everyone who plays it of Clue. It has a very similar kind of deduction mechanic. You're trying to deduce a person, a room, and an item. And that'll remind everybody of the person, the room, and the weapon from Clue. And I think that'll make it a really good game, especially also because if you and one other person are experienced at Mysterium, it's really easy to teach everybody else at the table. It becomes a real easy to teach game for a family game night. Real quick, let's see. Reminds me of trick-taking games like Spades and The Crew. I'm not sure. I didn't see when this one went up, so I'm not sure. I'm guessing this is about monikers. And Zoe, Zoe had referenced, it's kind of like charades, except it goes to 11. And then, so I'm not sure which one is the trick-taking game. And then Zoe also said, I like celebrating Christmas a week early when my kid's vacation starts. Distributes the family time and gives my kid more time with her new toys. That is... yeah, I agree. That is really cool, gang, to do it a little early. Hanukkah does that for me too. So, because it usually comes early. Angela, what's a good one? Do you have any?
Oh, hold on. I'm going to jump in on your Mysterium thing. So, I think Mysterium is fine, but it's kind of big, weirdly big for a family. Like I did it with my wife's family, who are kind of gamers. Like they play. They've gotten to be gamers with me, but when we were first gaming with them, we played very party games and very like Ticket to Ride and stuff, which is great stuff. But Mysterium was like too much for them.
So you're saying Mysterium no because it was too heavy?
Yeah, but Mysterium Park, which I have on my list.
Do you? Oh,
yeah.
Is that it? No. Shoot. No, I'm looking at the wrong ones. You have so many, and there's so many.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Hold on. Is this?
Well, yeah, it's cool.
I would say a lot of yours aren't labeled. Is that it?
There we go. Yep, that's the one. Yeah. So Mysterium Park takes out one thing, like one. What was it? You don't have to get the. Now I can't remember. Jeez Louise. Anyways, it's much faster to play, much easier. Like generally it takes us like 15 to 20 minutes to play an entire game of it. And so people get really excited when we play that one, where Mysterium, they were like, this is dragging. Nobody was having fun with that one. It was probably one of the first games that I was like, I really need to cull this. And I still have it, but I never get it played because it's the first time you play it, it's like, it's too much for everybody. So Mysterium Park.
Fair enough. Gradish says if the family is familiar with trick-taking games, then The Crew becomes an easier one to teach. Yeah. I'm going to throw out that I'm going to say similarly, if the family is also familiar with deduction games, then Mysterium becomes an easier one to teach. I feel like that's a pretty standard thing. Like if you're playing with people who are already familiar with the style of game, any of these, you can go up in the difficulty.
Yeah.
And it'd be all right. They also said Ticket to Ride has mechanisms similar to Rummy. Drawing cards and set collecting, which is true. That is definitely true. And again, that's a good one. I would say Ticket to Ride is a good one for reminding people of a classic game for that exact reason. And set collecting games are great for reminding people of Rummy. Rummy is a game everybody's played, either Gin Rummy, Rummy 500, or both, and maybe Rummy Cub also. And reminding people of those games is definitely a good idea. So I'm definitely all with that.
I got in trouble with my wife because I didn't put Ticket to Ride on here, and I was like, "Oh, of course."
I'm glad someone mentioned it then.
So, yeah.
Angela, did you have any on your list that are good reminders of classic games?
I do have I just wanted to nip back to, sorry, this way, Mysterium. I sold my Mysterium with the thought of buying Mysterium Park for that same reason, because first time we played it, everyone loved it. But the next couple of times that we played it, especially the last time, exactly what you just said happened. They were non-gamers and they weren't only stuck, it just became a drag. And it sort of brought things down. So yeah, I have actually sold mine for that same reason. So that's interesting that you said that.
That is fair. I have never had Mysterium go over bad for me, but that doesn't mean anything about other people's groups. Played it with my groups, it's always gone over very well. But you know, and that's the thing is, a lot of times you have to tailor the games, and that's a very important point.
Yeah.
You have to tailor the games to who you're playing it with.
Yeah. Like my wife was very hesitant. Like I took it to a game weekend with our in-laws, and they're like pretty gamey now, but everybody was hesitant to even try it, Mysterium Park, because we had tried Mysterium and they had that bad taste in their mouth. But then they tried it and they were like, I want to be the clue giver, you know, like I want to be the fortune teller or whatever it is. Yeah.
Fair enough. So maybe Mysterium Park, I have to give that one a try. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe Mysterium Park is a good replacement for Mysterium at this point then.
Much smaller box, much easier to set up and take down. It's great. Yeah.
That is fair. Angela, what do you got for one that reminds you of a classic game?
Well, I've actually added, is it one or two? Three, I think, games on my list that use dice. And that is something that everyone is familiar with. So Camelot.
Camelot. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah. So this is basically, you get the dice in the thing, you pop them out, and it's certain colors. I haven't played it for ages. And you move the camels around, but the camels stack on top of one another, thus changing how they move and how fast they move. And you're laying bets on them. So it's got dice, it's got roll and move, and it's got placing bets. And they're all things that most people are familiar with, even if they haven't played a modern board game.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. What is that? You got this.
You got this.
You got this. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you. So let's see. In which case, Angela, what do you think is a great trait for a game to play with family this holiday season?
Well, that was going to be mine that we just discussed, something with something familiar to non-gamers.
But do you have another one to discuss?
I wouldn't say I do. Well, I guess I could say, looking at a couple of them there, that games that have got a theme that is familiar to everyone. Yeah. So that they can get into the thematic nature of it.
Fair enough. Did you have a good example of this? Which one should I click?
Well, I've got Subterra, which is like you go into a cave and, you know, there's rock falls and flooding and you have to try and escape. Most people are familiar with that.
Let me see if I can find Subterra. Is that... Nope. There it is, Subterra. Got it.
One. Yeah, I love this game. I own everything for it. I even went and bought the miniatures to replace the meeples. And it's just so super easy. You're basically placing down tiles that's growing the cave, but you don't know what's coming out of the cave because it's dark in there. So you don't know what you're doing until you get there, kind of thing. And it's co-op. You can get split up and then you're in trouble because, you know, part of your party is off to one side and now they're blocked in. And it's just brilliant. And it's stupid easy.
Oh, we got a comment for you, Angela. Angela, you reminded me of the relationship between King of Tokyo and Yahtzee. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that is a good one. Because people forget that all push your luck dice games go back to Yahtzee. They really do. And Tim Doloff, hey Tim, says, hey folks. Hi Tim.
Hey, that's a neighbor for you, Shogunstein. You both are in the Phoenix area.
Okay. So did anybody have anything else they want to talk about with familiar themes?
Yeah, since we talked about Ticket to Ride and that kind of rummy mechanic, I was gonna bring Ticket to Ride, but I figured between the game itself, which a lot of people know about, and the train theme, it's pretty, almost overplayed. So I have vinyl.
Oh, I got a pick for that. I got your pick you sent me for that.
Okay. And vinyl is, it's similar in weight to like a Ticket to Ride. It's got a little bit of worker placement and, set collection, but it has an underused theme, which is music. And it's you're collecting records, and it reminds me a lot. And again, this is maybe a local reference, but it reminds me of as a kid going to places like Titus Oaks or Super Stuff or Record World on Long Island and just going through the albums and the album covers. I'm old enough when it was records, then it was tapes, and it was CDs. But this is a game on the weight and complexity of a Ticket to Ride, but has a theme that's not overplayed like Trains.
I'm with that, and those kind of nostalgic themes, they will hook people that are not gamers, for sure. People who are not gamers will see that, be like, "Oh, it's about records? Oh, interesting." And that can be enough sometimes to be like, "Oh, you guys want to play a game about music and it's about records?" Sometimes that's enough to do it. I actually have a game. I put it on for different reasons, but similarly, in regard to the theme, since Angela brought up this topic, Pan Am again has that kind of nostalgic feel, and people similarly, like, you're like, "Oh yeah, it's about it's about the golden age of airlines," and that gets people interested. Did anybody have any more thoughts on the familiar theme?
Well, I mean, kind of along those lines, are we going into theme, like just a theme that interests people?
Well, why don't you go right ahead? What do you got?
Sorry, I think it was Angela's turn next, but I think that
Angela just
ties
went.
right in. Or
Angela just did that with the familiar theme. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, like right over my shoulder here, you can see the new Wingspan big collector's box to get to hold all of it. So yeah, I've got Wingspan on mine, and this is one that, like, especially for families, right? You can get like your mom, your sister, your brothers all to play, because they're kind of like, yeah, I'm familiar with birds, or like, oh, it's fun to see birds in there. I think I have one. It's like the messy, yeah, exactly. So like, we introduced this to so many people, and most of them go out and buy it. And it's really exciting. It's a nature theme for people. For me, I thought this was the most boring theme, but when I played it, I was like, holy moly, this game is awesome. This is such a fun game. And so it's definitely heavier, but it's one of those games that the theme, for some reason, for a lot of people, it just helps them get into the hobby.
Well, perhaps it's because it's such a non-offensive theme. It's so I mean, everybody at one time or another has looked at a bird. I mean, you don't have to be a bird watcher to have looked at a bird and be like, "Oh wow, that's pretty."
Yeah, and the art on this
is
super pretty.
Oh, so nice.
So yeah.
I definitely think this is one of those that thematically it just like pulls people in, and it almost lulls them into playing like a little bit of a heavier game than like, because I think this is heavier than a gateway game, but it's treated like a gateway game because people get like lulled into that, like the artwork and the theme of it.
Can you tell me, Riley, is the Asia expansion a reference to the Wingspan?
Yeah. So they did pre-orders and everything, so I have the Asia expansion, and it came in that big giant box, and that box is supposed to hold all of the expansions, the base box, everything that's going to come out in the future.
Have you tried the Asia expansion yet?
I have not. And oh my gosh, though, the duet mode, I read through the rules of it. I am so excited to play that. Like, I keep bugging my wife, and I have been so sick this last week. I don't know if you can hear it or see it. My face feels like super flush, but I just want to play the duet mode so bad. And I think that's going to be like the way my wife and I play it, because it seems to add some really interesting, cool things to it. And there's other really cool things I think that Asia introduces into like, how are they going to mix it up? There's still like 4 more continents to come out.
And it's exciting getting your own as well. Like, I haven't played it yet, but I do have the one with the Australian birds. And I'm looking forward to seeing birds that I see all the time. Like, it'll be so cool.
Does anybody know what this means? I assume the monkey is in prep to be a wildfire druid.
I don't know, but I like it.
What?
I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. Somebody just commented it. Okay. I don't know what monkey we're talking about, but it sounds fun. And then Tim said, the duet mode looks cool. Has me excited to play Wingspan again. You know what? If they come out with a new mode and a new expansion that has you excited to play the game again, then they did their job right. That is 100% what you want in a new expansion.
I think this one's so cool because it adds duet mode, so it'll make it even like more interesting for 2 players. Because before it was kind of 2 players was fun, but it's definitely better with more players because you get more cards out there and more stuff's happening. And then it adds the ability to play with 6 or 7 players, but not add significant time to the gameplay, because now you have like this little spinner that does like simultaneous play. Anyways, I'm going off on a sidetrack tangent about Wingspan because I'm so excited about it.
But that's because you were talking about how Wingspan really fit the mold of why you think it's a good game to play with the holidays. So there's nothing wrong with that. Don't apologize.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Similarly, so we were talking about theme and we were talking about mechanics that are familiar to people. I want to throw out a game that I think theme and mechanically is really good for playing with family. This is Katara. Now, this is, I think, a very overlooked game, and I think it's criminally overlooked because the game is quite good. I did a review and tutorial of it a while back. I got a review copy from Yellow. Lovely people. The game is a more modern take on an area control game. Think like Risk, but done in a more modern and interesting way. Still very easy to teach, still very easy to learn, but definite end. Doesn't go on forever, but gives people that because you start by saying, oh, it kind of plays like Risk, and plenty of your family members who are not gamers will be like, oh, I remember Risk. I know how to play Risk. Yeah, I get that. And then
how long does it play in?
It's significantly quicker than playing original
okay,
Risk.
Cool.
It doesn't go on forever. There's a definite end, but you do a lot of area control. It's also, which is something I find really cool. They went with, because there's a lot of different mythological themes out there that get overused. Like everybody's got to do one based on Norse mythology. Greek mythology is like right behind it, but this one's based on African folklore, which is kind of rare. It's kind of rare in the gaming space, and I really dug that they did that. It made it different. It made it stand out to me. And yeah, I quite liked it. I thought it was really cool. So that was Katara for that reason. Did anybody else have any? Oh, go ahead.
Josh, you said you wanted some controversy. So
go ahead.
You mentioned it's a Yellow game, and my issue with them, and maybe in this kind of context, is every game that I've ever purchased of theirs, the rule book is always beautifully produced, but usually terrible. And
the rule book in Katara was pretty good.
It was pretty good because even King of Tokyo, which is not a difficult game to teach, even their rulebook for that is not very clear on things like, when you can enter Tokyo in the first round. And I've just had a number of problems on their games with their rulebook.
I've had a number of problems with their rules too, to be fair. There was, I can't remember the name of the game was, but there was a game where, because, I'm sure we could all agree, every Yellow game is beautifully produced. They always look great. But I've had a few of theirs that were real stinkers, real duds. And the game looked beautiful, but it was a beautiful steaming pile of crap because the game would be terrible. I can't remember the name of it. There was one where you were playing like a bunch of people empowered by deities in ancient religions to fight in an arena. I don't remember what the name was. The game was terrible. It looked gorgeous. You put it on the tabletop, people would stop and be like, what is that? But then I'd be like, don't worry, it's not good. You don't want to know.
Isn't Mountains of Madness their game?
That might be.
I think the single worst game I've ever played. That was like
was it really
Cthulhu,
bad?
It was a Cthulhu party game with the designer of Seafall.
Oh, do you know what? We loved that game. I don't think we've ever laughed as much playing a game as we did playing that one. It's funny how it works dependent on, yeah. We had an absolute blast playing that because you just do the most silly things. I can remember at one point I had to lay on the floor and I think I needed to communicate with just one hand or something because I'd gone insane. Honestly, we had a hoot. I'm sorry that it didn't have the same effect.
But see,
for
like
you.
that's like a reverse of what happened with you and me with Mysterium. I love Mysterium. Mysterium has
Yeah.
never not been a hit with me and my groups that I play with. But you guys did not have that go over well for you.
I love Mysterium, by the way. Again, back to the yellow thing. It's beautifully produced, isn't it? It, when you walk past and see it, you're like, oh, that is nice. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I love their production. They always do good production, but depends on the game. But in the case of Katara, I thought Katara was a really good game. It was really well produced. I just want to call out really quick Tammy Cartwright, who is definitely trolling at this point, but it's amusing me, so I'm gonna say hi anyway. Is trying to say that Twilight Imperium is a good game to play with your family.
I would have the best family if I could play Twilight Imperium.
I wish. Tammy, I wish I could play Twilight Imperium with my family. That would
Tammy
never
must
happen.
have the coolest family ever.
Yeah, right? Like, I couldn't get through a single turn. I love Twilight Imperium. It's still my favorite game of all time, but never. Tim threw out different strokes for different folks, and that is 100% what it comes down to with stuff like that. Sometimes something's going to go over really great with your group, and another person's going to be like, are you nuts? That didn't work at all with me and my group.
Yeah.
It can just really depend on the people. It really can. And that's funny how that happens. That with Mountains of Madness, Shogunstein said, that's a pass. And Angela and her group were like, that game's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the game, don't get me wrong, I do agree with Shogunstein. The game itself isn't that great, but I kept it because it was such a blast. Like, it was just so silly.
I want to throw out another.
I mean, that's the thing. I think if it gives you that joy, then it is accomplished what you want it to. Yeah, yeah.
I want to throw out another trait that I think. Oh, hold on. Someone's in the chat there. Tammy says thank you. I'm loving the comments. Keep them coming. Those are great. Loving the comments, you guys. Okay, I want to throw out another trait that I think is a good trait. I want to see what you guys think on this one. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I love aggro games. I threw out Katara before. Katara is a very aggro game. There's a lot of fighting. There's area control. There's wiping out your opponent's pieces.
Hey, real quick, thanks for joining us, Greatish.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is Greatish going? Oh, thanks very much, Greatish. Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And you have a great night. And if you come back, I'll see you soon. Let's see. I accidentally lost our overlay and put up a support Ukraine. I support Ukraine anyway, by the way. So, yeah,
absolutely.
So not embarrassed by that, but I just clicked the wrong thing. So yeah, I threw up Katara because I do like aggro games. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely love aggro games. You are welcome, Greatish.
Yeah.
Do love aggro games, but on a family game night, I actually think that non-aggro games are a great idea because I feel like you're already in conversational minefields every time you meet with a bunch of family members. It just seems to happen that way. Everybody I talk to who talks about family gatherings is always like, you have to navigate the conversational minefield.
Gosh, what is happening with your family?
Oh, my Jesus. I just recently...
I love family gatherings, and we always have a blast.
This might be a continental divide, perhaps, but I just told a cousin of mine who crossed the line one too many times that never to speak to me again. So these things, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm getting real. You know what? I'm getting real. I told them, not only did I say never speak to me again, I told them that they're not invited to my funeral.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I got extreme. With it. But because of conversational minefields, I think low aggro games are a good idea. Games where there's not a lot of like wiping out your opponent's pieces. Games where there's a lot, like Euro games where there's a lot of like, okay, we all do our own thing, and then at the end we see who won. And for that, I'm going to pull back up when I already talked about the Guild of Merchant Explorers. So the Guild of Merchant Explorers is very much a Euro game. it involves the fact that every turn you flip over a card and the card tells you terrain you can explore, and everybody has their own board and they put cubes down, which are the explorers exploring the board. No aggro, no stealing stuff from other people, no killing each other's units. Easy to learn, easy to teach, great game to play with family because of all of these things. And I feel like the low aggroness, especially if you're with family that maybe not like Angela's family, who are like the Brady Bunch, but for my family, which are closer to the Manson family, can avoid you getting into arguments.
Oh, jeez. So is that genuinely an easy game, Josh? Because I've not even heard of that one before, and it sounds
It's
really cool.
good. It's really good. So it's Lynn and I have been playing it a lot. Lynn has said it's one of her favorite games she's tried all year.
Oh wow!
And I'm right behind her. Really good. I did a full review and tutorial if you want to see how it plays, but it's super low aggro. Super low aggro. It's like I say, it's a Euro in the strictest sense of the word. Everybody does their own thing. There's very little player interaction, and I think those kind of games can be good if you have family like mine, where getting into an argument is a very much a possibility. This is a good argument avoiding game.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds cool.
It did cause, I felt bad for the guy who showed it to me, my friend Dane. We were playing it over some glasses of mead. And as a colorblind player, that game was very difficult for me.
Oh, no.
And so even though you're kind of doing your own thing, I kept, in a way, I don't want to say I was bothering him, but I guess I kept throwing him off because I couldn't tell the colors apart.
So were you having trouble with the colors between like grassland and mountain and desert?
Yeah.
Oh. You know, that didn't occur to me. Again, because I'm not colorblind, that didn't occur to me. I didn't realize that was a game that's a little tough for colorblind people. Yeah,
it seemed like a great game, but I just, I kept bothering him. And I saw you accidentally had thrown up a picture of Sagrada before too, and that's another one. That's a great game. That's impossible for people like me to play because the red and the green and the blue and the purple. If my son wasn't playing it with me and showing me the different cubes, there's no way I could play it. And that's a great.
My friend that's colorblind says that they will take a white piece of paper and write red, purple, green, blue. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they'll just write all the colors and do like a circle, and then it's like put those dice into the circle so that you can tell.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So he's made it colorblind accessible, but the new Legacy version, they made it colorblind accessible.
It's an interesting point though. Like if you have family that are colorblind, that has to come into your decision on what games to bring to holiday family game night.
Well, I'm colorblind as well a little bit. Not as bad as Shogunstein by the sounds of it, but there have been certain games that I've played with family and I've had to do what he's just said, get someone else to point out what color the cubes are or what color the meeples are or whatever for me to know where to go on the board. And it is a bit annoying, isn't it, Shogunstein, when you're having to bother someone else to basically help you with your turn.
But I think though, like people understand.
Oh, for sure.
Like it feels annoying to you or that you're worried you're bugging somebody. But usually people are like when I play with my colorblind friends, it's never a bother. It's like, oh yeah, like I hate I know you don't want to ruin your strategy, but like I can help you with a color,
Yeah.
but it can slow the game down, which is unfortunately, it's not fun to do. And sometimes you make a play and you didn't realize, like Century Spice Road, that's another great example, the first version, which is a terrific game, but is very difficult if you're colorblind. And I can't tell you the number of times I thought I got the cubes for a card and I couldn't tell the brown from the green from the red. And I understand that they're trying to be thematic to the different spices that were traded on the Silk Road, but there has to be a better way.
And
well, that's the interesting thing, is that all they have to do is change the tone, right? Like it can still be red, just change that tone a little bit, and now all of a sudden, like you can tell the difference between it. It's still red, but it's it'll look different.
I think better is when they use symbols. Like if you put symbols
Yeah,
instead
double
of just
coding.
you do color and a symbol. That's
Yeah.
usually like I used to play with some people who are colorblind, and they always said symbol. Just put a symbol in there because then they can tell the difference between the symbols. Am I right?
But
on
with
that?
a cube, right? Like you would have to do a different shaped cube, which does get tricky. But you definitely can. You can, more and more you get die cut or stickers you can put on them.
Yeah, because that can definitely help. Do you
My friend that is colorblind, he'll like use permanent marker and just permanently like modify his games. He'll put dots or squares on cubes so that he can tell the difference between them at a glance.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, but then you're like permanently marking it. So for some people, that's like, oh no, but it makes it playable. So
If it makes it playable and it's your game, mark it.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as long as you're not planning to try to sell it. If you're going to keep it, if it's a game you like, and you're like, I need to be able to play this game, mark it up. Anything that's going to make the game playable for you, whatever your situation might be, do it. And have you ever done that, Shogunstein?
I haven't marked the dice or anything like that, but like Riley was saying, we've done that with the white paper for Sagrada. My son is very good at coming up with hacks for me. Sometimes I think when we're playing people that don't realize I'm colorblind, I think sometimes people think that I'm like in cahoots with my son to try and win the game, but he's actually helping me, try to tell the pieces apart.
He's just trying to get you on a level playing field.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so who's got another thing that makes a game great to play with their family this holiday? What is another trait? Anyone got another trait they want to throw out?
I've got two more, but that have kind of come up.
Go ahead, do one.
So
Do one.
With Sagrada, since that came up, right? It's a game that's very pretty, and so that lures people in. You're just building this stained glass window, and you roll dice, take the colors, match it up. It does have, it's like a 10-minute teach. It's maybe a little longer on the teach.
So visual aesthetics.
Yeah, like it's the visuals of it. Visually very appealing. So I've got that one. Sagrada is great. Like I don't think I've had that miss yet. Another one that's an even bigger hit is Cascadia, which I have a picture of.
What's it? Is that
it's
it?
Like the blue background.
Blue background. No. There?
Trees in the background.
Trees.
Yeah.
Trees.
Yeah, I played it.
I can't find it.
It's just the board game box, but
no, I don't know where
it was the last picture I sent you. But anyways, while you're searching through it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't see it. It was a little tough. There were a lot of pictures.
Yeah, so
Cascadia, there it is. Wait. Is that it? That's it.
There we go.
My
Cascadia. No, that's okay. Yeah, we were up in Yellowstone playing at this nice cabin, and so I took that picture. But it's just that nature theme again. But this one is so pretty, right? Like, I mean, Beth Sobel, right? She does such great art, such beautiful art. Yeah, and then Randy Flynn's great. Yeah, and that one's so fun because you're like matching environments and you're getting animals and matching it up. So even literally, if you don't win, most people still have so much fun. They at the end, it's like, oh, I won or I didn't win. Who cares? Look at my beautiful map I just made and all my animals and all these patterns I've made. And so I think that's a great one. And along those same lines, my third one on there is what's it called? Canvas, which just has 3 cards on there.
Oh yeah, those
yep,
are
that
pretty.
one. Canvas, right? They're these clear, they're transparent cards with just kind of one image on it or a border or something on there. And then you combine 3 of those pictures, throw it in a sleeve with a background, and you have this beautiful work of art. So one of those things again, where like, yeah, if you don't win, oh, well, you've got this really pretty work of art. And sometimes one of your paintings isn't great or something, but almost always you're like very happy with all 3 pieces. And you can see on one of them, like, I didn't score that much, but who cares? That's an awesome looking picture. So I think the visual aesthetics.
I want to throw out real quick a shout out to the Road to Infamy Games guys. They live out here in Chicago, and I've met them at a couple events and actually played Canvas before it was released with them, and they're
Nice.
awesome. So I just want to give a big shout out to them since you put Canvas on the list. They're really great. But yeah, Canvas is gorgeous, and similarly, that's why I put Mysterium. One of the other reasons I put Mysterium on the list is just the artwork in it, and you can tell from the cover photo there. The artwork is just gorgeous. I'm going to throw up your photo if I can figure out which one it was again of the Mysterium Park, because again, gorgeous artwork, and yeah, that draws people in totally.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback on what Riley was saying with Cascadia, a mechanic within that game that might be important for a family type night is the fact that on the setup, there's that basic setup. So if you're playing with new people, when you're doing your animal patterns, you can have it where it's an easier pattern for people to do. And then you can kind of scale it, because then if you have more experienced players, you can use some of those more difficult patterns. That's a nice feature that the game has, that you can use those sort of, the basic game cards to start with.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because I think with Canvas as well, like they have the recommended starter set or a family mode or something to make it a little more friendly and accessible. I think more games are kind of doing that lately. And I really like that, because it does make it more accessible. Like I had our little nieces and nephews were helping us with Cascadia, because they could just like draw out tokens or flip over tiles for us, and they were having a blast doing that. And then like maybe suggesting where to put it or whatever, or getting to match something up. It was just cute and fun. Does anyone else have anything else on that, or other traits? Because I do have one last trait to cover, but
do you guys, Shogunstein or Angela, do you have another trait that would make a game really great to play?
I think we've covered all the ones that I thought of, so go for it, Riley.
Shogunstein, do you?
Just real quick, I would say, and again, this goes back to maybe, our big table that we used to have in Brooklyn, look kind of like a Woody Allen movie. But the idea, if you have a bunch of people at the table and you want to get a bigger player count. So we really like the Fluxes and the Lunacy games, and they get a lot of play in our house. All different themes, and they're easy to teach. Flux, again, the rules are constantly changing. Lunacy takes 2 minutes to teach, but you can get, when you have a lot of people at the table and you don't want to have a big setup and you just want to start throwing cards, Flux and the Looney Lab games are great. And then you can get so many different themes. The chemistry one, you can actually learn chemistry. There's math Flux, and then there's, they have zombie Flux, and here's a newer one with the Greek and Roman gods. I just think that they're really good games when you have a lot of people and you don't want to spend a lot of time going through the rule book.
Those are also really great because those, like I touched on before, those allow a lot of people to play. Those have really high player counts. You can play with, like, what's the max on Flux? I want to say it's got quite a few, right?
I think it goes to 6.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like any game you're going to bring to a family game night for the holiday, you should have it. The max should at least be 4, if not higher. So, like, Mysterium has a max of 7, 6, 7. These games, 5, 6, 7. Like, that's great because you can get a lot of people involved, and there's going to be a lot of people there. So, I do think that for that reason, also, those are great picks. They're easy to teach, like you said, easy to learn, and high max players. I'm not. Oh, and then we've got another Twilight Imperium 3, Prophecy of Kings, go. You're really sweating to getting the Twilight Imperium on game night, man. I want to come to your family game nights if your family is playing Twilight Imperium with the expansions. I am down. Maybe we can trade families. Riley, what was your last one?
Oh yeah, so I've got co-op. I think just co-op is an easy way to, because then it's a lot lighter, and I think you kind of covered that, whereas conflict free. So yes. I guess it kind of just blends into that one. Yeah, good co-op game. I've got Pandemic, and specifically I did Pandemic Hot Zone because it plays really quickly. It plays 20 minutes. I don't know if you wanted to pop that picture up.
Which one?
It's the map of the United States.
Oh, there it is. That's Pandemic Legacy?
And that's Pandemic Hot Zone.
Oh,
And
Hot
so
Zone.
Yeah, the Hot Zone just focuses on one area. So I think they only have 2 out right now. Or is the third out yet? I don't think so. But yeah, they've got Europe and America, and it's just great because it's super quick to play. You bust it out in like 15-20 minutes, pretty quick to teach it, and usually people want to play again and like, okay, I want to do a second round. And it's great co-op. It's just like, no hard feelings are had at the end of it.
So I wanna call back to something that one of the people in the chat said earlier. I believe it was Gradish had said much earlier, who's probably not here at the moment. But Gradish had brought up games that are great to learn while playing. And I want to say, because this applies to what you're just saying right now, Riley, co-op games are great to learn while playing because if you have people playing with you, they can guide you while playing. Nobody's feeling competitive. Nobody feels like they have to fight each other. A co-op game is a great game to play on family game night for that reason.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's no hard feelings. It's not well, and I think that's one of the hard things. The co-op problem is always quarterbacking. You don't want that one player to quarterback, but when you're teaching, it can feel like quarterbacking. Where, like, I was playing. This isn't a great family. Actually, it wouldn't be bad. It's not a hard teach, but I was playing Cthulhu Death May Die with my brother the other day. And he's like, I'm just not going to take my third action, and I was like, well, like, you might as well take it and just like move. And yeah, you'll get some fire. You might get some fire damage, but it's really not that big of a deal this early in the game, and so he did move and then he didn't take any damage. And I was like, see, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I felt a little bad, but it's like a teaching moment. And it's like, I'm not quarterbacking here. And then I didn't have to say anything for the rest of the game because then he understood that.
And there are,
interesting.
There are cooperative games that are more, by the way they're designed, more easy to fall into the trap of accidentally quarterbacking than others. There are some that do a good job of being like, you have to keep this information secret, and therefore, since nobody else knows, they're probably not going to quarterback you, and that's usually a good thing. I would actually recommend avoiding bringing a game to family game night if it is one of those ones you fall into a trap of quarterbacking. And I'm going to throw a game out of the bus. Forget it. Castle Panic. Everybody, it never fails. You play Castle Panic, somebody is going to start quarterbacking. Usually me. I'm sorry, I do, because it's like it never fails. You'll have a new person at the table. And they'll be like taking 10 minutes with their turn. And eventually I'm finally like, okay, what do you got? Like, let's talk about this. What can you do? And I'll feel bad about it. But if I didn't do something, the turn would have gone on forever. So, sometimes you got to co-op and help somebody out. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, I mean, nobody wants to be the person who takes everybody's turns for them. I don't think anybody really wants to. I think most people who fall into the trap of quarterbacking in a game feel bad about it after. Like, that's not a thing. So, like, there are certain games where it just happens, where, in my opinion, yeah, don't bring those games. Because if you're the one teaching it, you're going to fall into the trap of quarterbacking because everybody else doesn't know what they're doing yet. It's better to bring the games that literally stop you from doing that.
It's interesting. I don't know if Tim's still here, but they were talking about a game on he's on the Board Game Hot Takes podcast. I almost spaced the name. Anyways, I am sick. So this, I think it was last week or this week, they were talking about how they went to a board game night at a board game store, and they were playing with somebody. They didn't know them. And they were like quarterbacking in a versus game and saying like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should do this. This is what you want to do. And like the entire game, it was just like every turn, this person was like trying to dictate what everybody did because that's the optimal strategy. And so like quarterbacking
Wow.
can happen literally on any game. And I'll do that sometimes in a versus game when I'm teaching a game, right? Like, oh, this is like a perfect opportunity to teach this type of thing. But in the end, I'll say like, this is an option. By all means, don't do it. Like, but this is just that perfect situation where you could do something like that. Here's a new strategy you could implement. It may or may not work out. But
that's different though. That person was probably enjoying quarterbacking.
Yeah. And so like quarterbacking, I feel like it's just a problem in gaming in general. People are always going to be like kind of trolling you and just saying, "Oh, you should have done this," or "Oh, you should do this." But you can't trust them anyways. Especially if it's versus, they're just trying to trick you into it.
They're your opponent.
Yeah, they're your opponent.
If they're your opponent, don't trust them if they're telling you should do something. They're probably lulling you into a false sense of security so that they can, pounce on you.
Yeah. First game, whenever I'm teaching a versus game, I always like I don't want to give the advice, but it's like I need to teach it so that it's not like I want to win fairly if I'm going to win. But then second game, no, I'm not helping you unless you're asking for some advice. But second play, that's all bets are off.
I think we may have come to the end of this a little sooner than usual on this one. But this is the last.
I sort of have another thing I could talk about.
Oh, go ahead then. I thought we were running out.
No, it doesn't fit into anything. But I have the Lords of Waterdeep, which is every single time I bust this out with people, I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons theme game, but it's not. Like, you won't feel that D&D theme. And every time people are like, I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're like, if you want to, it's a theme that gets nobody interested, at least at like family game nights. But then once they start playing, the mechanisms are so simple. It's so straightforward.
It's worker placement.
Yeah, it's like the most teachable worker placement game you could ever play. And every single time it is a great success. I love that game. I love teaching that game. It's pretty quick. It might be like a 10-15 minute teach, but people get it really, really quickly. So I'll just throw that one out there, which in that regard, fits under nothing else.
Does anyone have some other
one as well?
Go ahead. Which one do you want to throw out?
I've got this one. Hive Mind.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. This game is awesome. It's a trivia game. It's kind of a trivia game in that you get asked questions. So what have we got here? What are 3 things a 6-year-old might pray for? And then what you do is you write down your answers and then to each question, and you have to match with other players. And if you're not in the hive mind, you get bumped down the beehive until you boot it out. It's a good one. Good fun.
That's kind of sounds like a party game.
It is kind of a party game, yeah. But you can't go wrong with a party game at family game night.
No, that is good. I want to give a quick hi to Persurly. Hey, Persurly.
Did we say specifically party games during this?
We didn't.
Yeah, because I think that's the perfect, like party games. Like so many of these hit there. Code Names is a great party game. A lot of these. Flux is a great party game. Well, Flux maybe. Yeah, so Clover. Yeah.
Flux is a party game. I would agree with that. It's kind of a party game. Code Names for sure. And there's Code Names again. Sure.
I have another one kind of. Well, this wasn't a party game. Never mind.
No, go. What is it?
Well, sorry. I think, Angela, I'm familiar with this game because of you, but we were at Black Friday shopping at some local game stores, and my wife saw Cat Lady.
Oh,
I love Cat Lady.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
And so my wife was like, well, you're buying Final Girl, so I want to get Cat Lady and this expansion. And I was like, of course, like anytime you want to buy a game, you will get that game. That is like a done deal. And so we played it, and it's like, that's great. It's so good. And it goes with that, like, this is one where you teach the end game scoring very briefly and then teach the rest of it as you play, because most of the cards tell you what to do.
Yeah.
But there's occasional like kind of outside things that you have to touch on as you go, as cards pop up.
I kind of really want to play Cat Lady with Angela because of how good she is at it. I want to see her crush
I
me like,
used to be good at
mercilessly.
it. I don't know if I am now.
Well, oh, come on. It's like riding a bike, I'm sure.
Well, I
I'm sure
played that to death.
Yeah, that's why I still want to play it with you. Like if you ever come to the Chicago area, you got to come over and that's one of the games we're going to play because I want to be
Awesome.
destroyed by you.
One of the few games that I can win at, Josh. One of the few.
Well, I mean, if I want to destroy you back, I'll just get you in a war game.
Oh, please. Yeah, easy.
2 minutes in and she's waving the white flag.
Yes.
That'd be easy. Easy. Oh, easy win. Did anybody have any other games specifically they wanted to call out that were great games to play with a family this
I
holiday?
think the only other one on my list, I had Horrified on my list, which I think is fantastic because it's co-op, but you've all got your own power, I think, from memory. And or is it that the monsters all have their own thing? Oh, the monsters all have their own thing. So it will change the game depending on what monster you pick, which is awesome. Like 4 games in one or however many. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and it's got that sliding difficulty.
How about you, Shogunstein? Did you have another one or two that you wanted to quickly call out that are really good for family game night this holiday?
Yeah, and again, Horrified. I absolutely agree with. That's a great one. The last one I was going to bring is Cockroach Poker.
Oh, so good.
Is again, it has a high player count, goes up to 6. Takes about 2 minutes to play, and everyone's in. It's one of these games that everyone has to be active in it, and it's a blast because there's one loser, and that's how it. There's no winner. You just there's one loser, and the cards are funny, and it's just one of those games, especially at the end of the night. It doesn't require a lot of setup. It's just a deck of cards, and again, once you teach it and you start messing with people and giving them, cockroaches and water bugs and scorpions, it gets everyone involved. I brought it to family night. I brought it to school and played it with kids. It gets everyone into it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Agree with that. Most of the games in that series are really good, though. There's one, is it Cuckalakan Salad? It's about playing cards, but you're not allowed to play certain cards. It's honest to God, it blows your mind when you're playing it because you will automatically do things. It's like the Stroop test, that with the colors and the words, and you'll say the word instead of the color or the color instead of the word. Yeah, it's a hard game to play really well, but the Cockroach Salad, if you haven't got that one, that's another good one. Really funny, really fun.
And they're tiny little boxes. You don't have to schlep it anywhere.
Yeah. Good choice.
Small boxes are good.
Yeah. Like I think of the Mind, right? Like the Mind is one that's fun to bust out at parties because people get really into it. And it seems exciting for them. If Tim was still here, he would say El Grande.
Grande. Ooh, okay.
It is literally the meanest game I have ever played, and I would not agree with it, but he's always insisting that it's a party game, and I'm like, no. Every time you are yelling at people, hey,
Hersurly is saying Las Vegas for sale, and Dixit. I've played Vegas. Vegas is definitely a good family game. For sale, I've seen it played, and Dixit, I've seen it played. It's got a lot of similarities to the games we brought up, the Mysterium and Mysterium Park. A lot of similarities there to Dixit with the pretty art, very visually appealing, easy to teach. Definitely, absolutely.
Can I just piggyback on 2 things, both with Dixit and the Mind? As modern board gamers, we might not necessarily like the Mind as a game. I know I personally don't like playing it, but when I bring it, like I'll use school as an example, not necessarily a family night. When I bring it to kids and kids play it, they love it and they're so into it, and their excitement totally outweighs my personal feelings that as again, as a modern board gamer, it's real easy for me to diss on the Mind or Dixit. My son at his game club, they play Dixit. They love it. So I think we sometimes need to keep in mind that yeah, we might like in the comments they're talking about Twilight Imperium, all these heavy games, but not everyone necessarily likes those heavy games, and we need to kind of take a step back and realize that yeah, people might actually really enjoy something like the Mind.
Yeah, you need to tailor what you're bringing to who you're playing it with. Who you're playing it with should be the number one consideration when bringing a game to any event, whether it's family for the holidays, whether it's a particular game night. Who you are playing the game with is the most important thing. I tailor my entire game collection, what I hold on to, based on who I play games with. Because I'll be like, oh, I could play this game with that person. Oh, I could play that game with this person. And I'll hold on to those games in my collection for those reasons, because I know that's a game I would pull out and play with them. Definitely.
Fair.
I think that's the biggest concern. And on that note, I think we're gonna call it, because that's got to be the biggest reason to bring a game to family game night, is because it's going to go over well with the group. But I mean, like, quick sum up, a lot of the big ones we went over. Game looks pretty. Game has a really approachable theme. Game has mechanics that remind people of classic games. Game is very easy to teach, easy to learn. Game has low aggro, doesn't make people angry at each other. All these things are great things. Great qualifications for picking a game to bring to family game night, or specifically in the case of this video, to bring a game to play with your family on the holidays. Yeah, I think these are all really great ideas. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to add before I call it?
I don't think so.
I think just adding on to that, like Angela brings it up, I think almost every stream, but she didn't this time when you were talking about that, but like the joy that her grandkids get playing certain games, like that's the goal. That's the goal, but with adults and kids, and like just make sure you're having fun. And to pile onto what Shogunstein is like, let go of your gamer side. You might be like the big gamer, but like just enjoy those moments of playing any game, no matter how silly, how stupid it is. Like, if the rest of your family is laughing and having fun, if it's not strategic, let that go and just enjoy the games you can get played with your family.
Fair enough. And I want to give, I just want to give in case she watches this video, I want to give a shout out to Sadi again, who I was saying, friend of mine who came by for a game night the other night, and she brought these beers with her. Winter Ride Double Bock, not a sponsor, but holy crud, is this delicious. I just want to throw that out there. So, hey, Sadi, if you watch this one, these were great. I'm drinking up the leftovers, so thank you for those. But I hope everybody enjoyed this stream. This was our last stream of the year. We're taking December off, mainly because, one, it's going to be the holiday season, and two, Angela, again, quick reminder to everybody, is going to be going to the Star Cruiser, and I cannot wait to see a little bit of hopefully some little bit of vlogging about the Star Cruiser, because I really want to see.
I'll do my best.
I'm so excited for that. I can't wait to see your takeaways from that. I really want to see a vlog on that.
I have to have a costume now. It's hard finding a lady costume when you're a little bit. It's hard. They're all skin tight. We don't want that.
Well, just go with like a smuggler costume. You put
like
a French coat and some cargo pants and a nice, I mean,
poncho.
Yeah, I just bought an awesome poncho that has Jack Skellington on it. Just because
cool.
it's
I'm
very
looking forward
comfy.
to seeing my grandkids dressed up in the full gear. Oh, I'm so excited, guys.
I can't wait to see some coverage of that. I want to see some coverage of the Galactic Star.
4 generations we've got going, and my mother-in-law does not have a clue anything about Star Wars.
Oh no.
So it's going to be hilarious. Yeah.
Which are you going to put that on Girly Gamer, or?
I will on Instagram. I put it on Girly Gamer because it's my personal channel, not board gaming. But I do actually have a travel page that my wife and I have, and we post everything on there so that we're not flooding our personal Facebook, because people don't want to look through your holiday photos.
But if you do a video, which channel will you put it on?
Or if I did a video, well, it wouldn't be on Board Game Gran. It would be on GirlyGamer.
Yeah, on GirlyGamer.
Board Game Gran's literally just for board gaming.
So check that out. Hopefully, it's going to be on GirlyGamer. I really hope you do get a video done. Last minute thoughts from Persurly. Copenhagen, Miyabi, and number 9. I think I played number 9. Was definitely a family friendly game, a good one to bring. Okay, so we're gonna be calling it here because I think we've gone over all the big topics. Thank you everyone who joined us in the chat. Everybody who joined in this chat, we really appreciate you. There's some great freaking comments in the chat. I love all of these comments. I love responding to your guys' comments. These were great. This was a very active chat tonight. Again, tune in next time. Hopefully next time will be end of January, because we're taking, like I said, we're taking December off. Subscribe to everybody's content. Check out everybody's content. Again, links to Angela's channels and Riley's podcasts. Sorry, I'm having a brain cramp there. Podcast in the description down below. And again, Shogunstein is on YouTube. There we go. This direction. Shogunstein is on YouTube as the Shogunstein. Does a lot of content where he talks about historical games. He does various talking about new games he bought, and he talks about whether or not games are friendly to colorblind players. And it's one of the few channels out there that does that. That does a lot of great analysis on whether or not games are colorblind friendly, which I find very fascinating. So check out Shogunstein on YouTube. And I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. If you're watching this after we streamed it, feel free to comment down below. Give it a like. Everybody give it a like. And until next time, I want to tell everybody, have a Merry Christmas, have a Happy Hanukkah, have a Happy Kwanzaa, have a Happy Winter Solstice, have a Happy Yule, whatever holiday you celebrate, have a happy holidays. And I hope that you're able to enjoy them and have a good time and are able to turn any gatherings you have with your family into a positive experience, because that's really what this was all about, turning it into a positive experience. So yeah, until next time, game on and have a